everybody, welcome to this episode of the Disc Golf Answer. We're going to talk a little bit about our trip to Arizona, USDGJC.
Cool.
And the Next Generation Tour. This is Bobby Cool. Oh, Daddy Slick Breeze.
There it is. There it is.
It's been a minute.
It's been about a minute. And I've got Eric. Played his first Masters round McCabe.
He's never not been on the lead card.
I have never not been on a lead card in Masters.
There we go. Nice.
So there.
And Robert, boy, look at that tan McCall.
Oh, I've been out in the sun.
So we are back from Arizona. We all got a little color except...
No. My color is red or peeling.
Yeah.
I wish, if you guys wouldn't be able to see it on the video anyway, but Bobby wore a hat all week and he's got a sweet tan, like back where the opening. Oh yeah, back where the opening of his hat was. Yeah, it's powerful.
That's wonderful.
I wore enough sunblock that it wouldn't have changed anything anyway, which you have to out there.
I forgot the second
that's
day.
Not good, Bobby.
I was rubbing my ears and I was like, I forgot sunblock.
That's not good, man.
I put some on my face every day, but the last day out at Vista, I forgot my legs, and they are sunburned now. Like
Which is fine.
They do not feel
the back of your legs were burnt.
I think legs and arms, you can get away with that a little bit. But it's your face and your ear, the top of your ears. If you don't get some sunblock on that,
you're
man, I feel bad for your future.
Yeah. My legs felt awful for the next couple of days. I'm all right now.
Yeah. So, Eric, how was it? Tell us, how was it playing your first Masters event?
Well, it was pretty much like I expected. We all got forgotten about. And no, I'm just kidding, obviously. It was awesome. I got to play all 4 rounds with my good friend Shasta, who, spoiler alert, we ended up tying for second. He came out the gate swinging. He started out his first couple rounds playing really steady, consistent, just right down the middle golf. I was very rusty, as I could tell, for the first 2-3 rounds. I didn't feel comfortable ever. I never felt... after every round, I'm like, man, I did not play well. Like, what's going to happen? And then I played well enough to get on the lead card every day. So, I mean, that really helped me, and finally the last day, I think it was finally getting in a groove and hitting a couple big putts early really got me going, and I actually ended up making up 9 strokes on second place.
Nice.
And ended up tying Shasta for second, and it was great. The last round actually tied for the hot round of the day, including all the open men scores. Granted, we went out a little earlier. It may not have been as windy, but not that it was windy that day by any means, but... ended up shooting 11 down 49 with about a 350-foot throw-in with a Disc Golf Answer Man stamped EMAC Truth.
For the Eagle 2.
For the Eagle 2.
Sick.
And I wanted to, unfortunately, I followed you a little bit, but then I had to catch up with some of the other players so I didn't get that on film. But if you're listening and you're that gentleman, that tall gentleman that was filming the Masters.
From Northern Lights Disc Golf, I've already talked to him. He's going to send it over.
Alrighty then, never mind then.
He's actually putting together, they drove straight home from Arizona to Minnesota. So they had when they got to Emporia, they still had 8-9 hours to go. Gosh. He's home now. They got home about midnight last night. And he had told me that he's going to, look at all the footage. He's going to send me the Eagle before he finishes everything else. But that whole last round of mine was recorded, and he's going to be putting out a video, and we'll share it obviously when it comes out. So.
Cool. Oh,
yeah. And that was rated 1063 or 1064.
63, I believe.
Yeah. Fantastic.
And I think Chuck Kennedy commented on it and said he thinks it'll go up. Yeah. When it's official. So
yeah, that's a hot round.
Yeah,
anything in the 40s there is you're moving. Yeah. That was good.
Especially a Vista.
For sure.
Yeah. So Fountain, you can shoot in the 40s and move down spots.
Yeah, and lose strokes.
Yeah.
So Robert got to walk around with all our players out there, and
we walked a lot of miles, man.
We did,
and we know that because we kept up with it on our watches.
So we had a thing going with Jeremy. We said if we walked 25,000 steps in one day, that we could maybe talk him into having DD pay for a foot massage. But I think the closest I got was 18 or 19,000, and I think you hit.
I got to 25,000 on our last day after the tournament.
Yeah,
was
but we'd
over.
already left, right?
We'd already left, but. That wasn't part of the deal.
That's true.
It was 25,000 steps in a day.
And you should have seen him in the RV just doing back and forth, back and forth.
He was going at it. So yeah, we did a lot of walking. Really awesome to see our team players out there representing Dynamic Discs. And then, of course, we got to hang out with West Side and a little bit of Latitude 64. So all around, really good time in Arizona.
That was a great trip.
Yeah. So, but we'll talk about our picks on our surveys and polls section or segment or episode or whatever you want to call it. And to clear up some confusion, because some of you were asking on Facebook. So I had put out an episode where I had interviewed our team players while we were at a team dinner. And I put that episode out last Wednesday, and the site said it was episode 209, but on iTunes it said DGAM at Memorial. So some people were confused. Is this episode 209 or whatever? So I corrected it. You are now officially listening to episode 209. That was a special,
bonus footage.
Yeah, that was a special episode to kind of fill in the week while we were out and unable to answer questions. But I thought it turned out really good. It was really cool to hear from everybody about their anticipation for the event. So cool stuff.
And lots of people there too.
Yeah, how many ended up?
We had 25, 26 people there. Lots of Team DD people, a few Team Westside people, a couple of DD employees. It was awesome. All around, super good.
Cool. Well, we've got a lot of questions. We want to do a little bit of catching up. So let's just get right into the questions. Remember, as always, go to discgolfanswerman.com, submit your disc golf question. I want to say, again, reiterate, thank you for being patient. Right now, we've got about 20 questions sitting in SpeakPipe, and I'm scared to look to see how many we have in the Google Forms. I'm not scared. I'm thankful that you guys sent a question, but I know a lot of you, some of you reached out and said, hey, when's my question going to be on there? Don't think
today.
I don't think you guys, I don't think you guys realize how many questions we have in the queue. We have 126 questions.
Wow.
Waiting in the queue. So we'll see what we can get through.
Speaking of, Rock from Australia tagged us in an Instagram post that he'd ordered a Lucid Warden and we signed it for him. So
I saw that.
Thanks for listening to the show. Hope it goes well for you, Rock.
Yeah, and a couple of you posting your pictures with the Disc Golf Answer Man t-shirt. We still got a few left, so make sure you get those ordered.
Yeah.
This one is from JT.
What up, JT?
Let's see what JT has to say.
Like Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
All right,
Justin
JT,
Timberlake.
I don't have your volume
Jeremy
set
Taylor.
right. Here we go. You ready?
Jeremy Teresco.
Again, I just thought of another quick question.
Hey guys.
Okay, I'm going to get my control here. Just a second. There we go.
What's up, Disc Golf Answer Man? It's JT again. I just thought of another quick question. I live in a small community in Texas that has a great disc golf course in a public park, so it's well taken care of. There's no trash. The grass is well manicured. And I was wondering about, is there any tips that you guys have to growing a sport in a particularly small community that maybe doesn't have a lot of disc golfers in it? I would like to do something like maybe repair the tee signs and try to maybe start running tournaments and stuff like that. But I have no idea how to do that. So I was wondering if you guys had any advice on how to get those things started, how much it would cost to maybe fix up tee signs and all that. And just any experience that you have with growing it in a particularly small rural community. Once again, thank you guys for what you do, and I look forward to hearing your answer. Thanks.
A small community and not very many disc golfers. That sounds very familiar.
Yeah, if only we knew of a place like that.
I know. It actually sounds exactly like Emporia. A few years ago, we didn't, granted now we have quite a few more disc golfers because we were able to get more courses in the ground. But to make that happen, it was really all about running events, clinics, leagues, getting something organized going, and kind of like you said, upgrading tee signs when you have the availability. And as far as a cost goes, it can vary. There's kind of a scale that, up and down. You can shoot an email over to us at coursesales@dynamicdiscs.com for a quote just on the tee signs. And the beautiful thing about our tee signs is we have spots on there where you can actually go into the community and sell sponsorship and put their logo on your tee signs, and that pretty much covers the cost of the tee signs. So, it's just kind of a good way to go out and fundraise and just clean up the course a little bit. It sounds an awful lot like Emporia. I mean, we have great manicured grass. The Parks Department really does a great job of taking care of the parks by mowing, trash, and all that good stuff. So that would be my recommendation to you.
Yeah,
Cool.
and definitely getting some clinics going for sure. I mean, I'd say more important than upgrading the signs or even putting in more courses is just getting more people playing. the more people that you have involved, the more likely people will be to get in, like to want to do those improvements and things like that. So yeah, definitely run some clinics and things like that.
Next one comes from Ben.
Hey guys, I think it'd be great if you could talk about the most nerve-wracking shot of your careers in which you succeeded and fought through. And also, if you don't mind, talking about the worst shot of your career in which you were just extremely embarrassed and at this point hopefully is funny. Thanks so much.
Dang.
Yay.
Trying to think of.
I'll go first on the first one.
Yep.
I need to think a minute on the failure. I've had so many. I just got to narrow it down to
Quite
one.
the catalog of failures.
The shot that comes to mind for me was at the 2008 Players Cup, the major. Barsby and I were battling the entire round, just back and forth, back and forth. I went out to an early lead. I hit a big putt on hole 1, made a couple strokes up here and there, and then he kind of fought his way back. He made a huge putt on hole 16 to tie it. And I had a great shot on 17 to get the 1-stroke lead going into the final hole. And it was like this 350 turnover blind shot with OB pretty much everywhere. And I had a 1-stroke lead, and I knew I had to put it close because all this shot was for Greg was a big forehand. Mm-hmm. So I had to come up with the shot, and I remember thinking I have to put this close. And at the time, I remember reaching for a Z-Buzz and just putting it on that perfect angle, and it was just holding the corner. And as soon as the disc disappeared,
Nice.
it disappeared over the bunker. I just listened for the crowd, and when the crowd applauded, that's when I knew I did it. That's definitely my most pressure moment.
Yeah. And just to come through. Pretty sick. And in a major.
Yeah, it was a major. Yeah, it was a PDGA major. So, and
that's super cool.
Yeah.
I like it. I guess mine, I haven't played on the same scale as Eric has, but I guess it was maybe probably the second tournament that I won. The first one was like a really small one. Not very many players were there, and so I don't know. It counted, but it also kind of didn't count. But this one, I was in Temple playing against Mike Olse, who's a Austin guy, course designer, really, really good disc golfer.
Yeah,
just
he's
a really,
a
really
guy.
good guy.
He's a good dude.
I like Mike.
I like Mike a lot as well.
And got into a playoff with him after 2 rounds, and through 2 holes, we both birdied the first, and we both birdied the second. And I missed probably my only putt inside the circle on the next hole, which would have been for the win. That was about 28 feet or so, and just pushed it right a little. It's one of those that probably like 40, 60 could have stuck, could have fallen out. But the next hole was a big forehand hole for him on a really steep slope, sloping down to the left. And he threw a forehand and just rolled down to the bottom of the hill a little bit. And I threw a turnover at the time. It was a rock, turnover rock. And I was uphill of the basket about 30 feet looking down at it, similar distance to the one I just missed. Mike ran his putt, and it was right by the basket. And I was just knees knocking standing over this putt. Because if I hit chains and it doesn't stay, maybe it rolls down, maybe it doesn't. If I airball, it guaranteed 4 because there's no coming back from it. And I hit that putt for the 2 and the win. And so I'd say that was the one that I was most like driving home after that. I just felt like, holy crap, I did it. Like I was just energy racing through my body. It was really, really cool.
Listening to Rage Against the Machine the entire way home.
Yeah. You know me very well. Yes. You know my musical taste.
I do. Do you have one, Bobby?
I don't play a lot of tournaments. I mean, I know one embarrassing shot.
Okay.
Is
I've got one of those.
I was playing.
Are you WTF Richard?
No, no. It was. I can't remember what the name of the event. Maybe it was the Oklahoma Open, and I was playing in one of the either Red Hawk or Black Hawk in Tulsa, and there was a shot. I can't remember the number, but it's a shot where it's got like 2 ponds.
Yep, I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah,
it's like hole 10,
something like that. And I saw people throwing it, and I thought that's out of my reach. Don't be stupid. Play it safe, right in the middle. Just don't.
And then when you got up there,
everybody,
you were just
everybody was doing it. Now they weren't
Everyone's doing it.
Yeah, they weren't parking it, but they were getting across the pond that you had to get across. And I thought, how can I lay up? Everybody else is doing it.
Dang it.
And so I thought, if I just grunt and just really power through it, I should be able to make it. In fact, I'll even turn my trespass over just a little bit so it'll do that nice S curve. And I did. I threw it, and sure enough, just flew right into the water.
Dang it, man!
So I've thrown in the pond on that hole numerous times.
So it was one of those things that, you know, the lesson I learned was like, if you don't think you can make it, don't. It's not worth it.
Play to your strengths.
Stay in your game. Stay in your mindset.
You know, a 3 is better than a 4 or 5. So that was the lesson I learned on that one.
I do have one I thought of for my. I wouldn't say it was an embarrassing moment, but more of a letdown moment.
Sure.
Was Piney Woods a few years. I think Robert was there for this.
We were on the final 9 together.
Yep. And Bradley had a lead. Bradley Williams had the lead going into the final, and I was playing well in the final. I was making putts and
all of us were shredding that back 9. Yeah,
throwing some great shots, and actually, I think I played really well the final round to get to the final.
That's right.
Make up a few strokes, and we were tied. Bradley Williams and I were tied. I had Bradley Williams by 1 stroke going into the last hole of the final 9, which happens to be the huge pyramid elevated basket that I'm sure majority of you have seen pictures of or maybe even played. I remember thinking to myself, all right, just put this close and we should be good. Bradley's shot was relatively close, gave himself a putt. I put mine about the same distance, I would say. And all I had to do was make that putt from the bottom, little uphill, maybe 20-footer, 25-footer, but it was uphill and there was a little breeze.
If you haven't seen it, it's a scary putt.
It is a scary putt because if you miss, you've got the same putt that you just missed,
if not farther.
Yeah. And all I had to do was make this putt, and I think I chained to left side, and
that's right.
And it just fell out, and then Bradley hit his putt to tie me, and then I ended up losing in a playoff to Bradley, but. So that was one of my moments that I kind of kicked myself for quite some time, but I did get revenge, and I came back the following year and won the tournament, which was great because all I ever wanted to do was get my name on that rock.
Dude, I still want to get my name on that rock.
All I ever wanted to do. So.
On 18's green on Dogwood, there's this just stone that has the previous Piney Woods champions' names. Yeah.
Pretty cool stuff. I really like that.
Yeah.
And all I wanted to do was get my name on it, and then I had the opportunity and I failed, but then I came back and got it. But
nice.
But that is definitely my moment that comes to mind.
For sure. Mine we've talked about before. Winter warm up. I was chasing down Kyle Webster. I just birdied 6 in a row, starting to catch fire, and wasn't feeling confident on my Anheuser's. So on what was 17 at Lake Louisville, now it's some other number. I just threw low hyzer. I was like 100 out. Tried to kind of half run a jump putt, but it just caught on my fingers and it wobbled out to like 30. So,
unlike mine, Roberts is on video.
Yeah, you can see it anytime you want. You can see my reaction and know that I was very disappointed with it. Yeah. But yeah, that one hurt. I ended up losing by 2 to him. It sucked.
All right, let's go to our Google question form. This one's from Derek from Pensacola. Hey, Disc Golf Answer Crew. First off, I would like to give props to Robert for inspiring me to embrace the fashion statement that is the vest.
Dude, my man.
Greatest decision so far for 2018. Now my question.
And he lives in Pensacola, Florida, where it's warm.
Yeah. Must be a really light vest.
Fashion over everything is what I say.
So speaking of vests, my wife called me out on Facebook. And I know Eric has seen it because he gave it the little laugh emoji.
All right.
Little laugh reaction.
What did it say?
Which one?
So it was a question, or it was the picture I posted of Eric on his drive, and it had Rambo holding.
Oh, yes.
That one. Yes.
And I said something about this is how I felt on the last day.
Yeah.
And Joseph Lowe said, is this back from your bouncer days? Because back when I was in the Marine Corps, I was a bouncer at a couple of clubs. And my wife said, no, he had more hair, he wore tighter jeans, and he wore tight vests.
Dude, in your face.
And I did.
I definitely laughed at that.
when I, on the Saturday nights when they have we've talked about before, when they'd have the male reviews come in for the women, the men strippers, they would allow some of us bouncers to
exotic dancers.
Wait table. Yes, they would allow us to wait tables for the women. And we could keep the tips. And in order to look cooler, I would wear some nice jeans and just a vest with no shirt underneath.
Did your jeans have holes in them?
No, they did not.
Okay.
No.
Tastefully placed holes.
Yeah, no. But anyway,
Hey, but I bet he's talking about wearing a vest probably with a shirt under it.
Probably.
Which is how I choose to wear my vests.
I don't know. He does live in Florida.
That's right.
It's warm.
So anyway, his question is, I've been playing for 23 years and I'm competing in my first tournament.
Nice.
No, I'm sorry. I am 23 and been playing for a few years.
There you go.
I'm competing in my first tournament, which is for 2018 bag tags.
Nice.
So my question is, what are some tips for playing in a tournament style round for the first time? What are some things you did for your first tournament?
Oh, man.
We actually have a video, if you want to look, guys, on YouTube that's it basically talks about how to prepare for your first tournament. So go to our YouTube channel and search for tournament play, and you should be able to find it. But tell us some things that you guys learned from playing in tournaments.
Man, it's my first tournament was so long ago. Actually, my very, very first tournament ever was a doubles tournament in Lawrence, Kansas.
Nice.
And it was a buddy, Jim Ramsey, and we partnered up and went up there and played and got dominated, and it was a good time. But I think that's a little different experience than jumping into a singles tournament by yourself. Because I mean, you're on your own out there.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, you can feel confident all day, and then you step on that first tee.
Yeah, absolutely. It's tough, man. It's not easy. I'm not going to sit here and tell you. I mean, I've been doing this for how long now, and still, when I step up to that first tee in a tournament and they call your name, and you still get butterflies, and it's still like, gosh, don't screw this up. Don't miss this triple Mando on hole number one. That's
Right.
the easiest shot in the world. Yeah. So I mean, it's still there, and I'm happy that it's still there, because I mean, I think as soon as that feeling's gone, I don't have the love for it that I do, you know. So I still am very, very happy that I still have those chills almost.
Right.
So.
Yeah,
But,
so kind of embracing those, I'd say, is important. You know,
Yeah, absolutely.
You're going to be a little bit nervous. Everybody is, but just try and relax and like be grateful that you get to have that moment, right?
Mm-hmm.
That you get to play disc golf on a weekend competitively, because that's what I love to do. It's just it makes me happy when I get to think about that. And even if I play poorly, I'm getting to do something that I love.
Mm-hmm.
So as much as possible, embrace the nerves. You know, say. Like let those out a little bit, you know, throw your first tee shot and just breathe, man.
Yeah.
Just breathe and just have fun. That's super important.
And remember, it's a great learning experience. No matter how you play, you'll learn so much from this event to take to the next one and to the next one and to the next one. I'm still learning things at tournaments to this day. So it's just something to embrace.
Yeah.
Just run. I mean, I don't play a lot of tournaments and stuff like that, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express. So my one piece of advice is to always remember as you get ready for tournaments is that I would say 80% of the work is done before the tournament.
Yep.
The tournament is your time to showcase the work that you've done, the practice, the throwing of your discs, knowing your discs, playing that course, playing in similar situations as far as the weather. All that is done before you step up to that first round on that first tee in the first round. So keep that in mind.
And one small thing that I will tell you to keep in mind: always go with your first decision. So many times I've had, okay, I'm going to throw this EMAC Truth on this shot on this hole. And I step up to the tee pad and I see somebody else throw a different shot and it looks nice. And I'll go back to the bag and change it out. Mistake. Mm-hmm. Stay to your game plan. And 90% of the time, go with your first decision.
Yeah.
Next one. Oh, Derek has another question. We'll go with Derek's question again. He says, hey, disc golf fans,
Disc golf fans are cram.
Cram it.
My question is on putting. I putt with the prime judge, and I'm able to make putts within 15 to 20 feet by anything outside that is either coming up short or blowing past the basket with an air ball. Oh, but anything outside.
Yeah.
I am a shorter guy, and I loft putt with a decent amount of spin. Is there any tips, games, or drills on working on longer range putts? Should I develop a true spin putt for anything outside of 20? Thanks for taking my question. And Robert, go crush that 1,000 rating.
Thanks, buddy.
Nope. It will not happen.
No, thanks.
We were actually talking
Don't listen to Bobby.
We were
it will
actually
happen.
talking about the discs we're going to stamp on the drive home.
Yeah, we're starting to get some ideas.
Yeah. So anyway.
I would not change your putting style for outside of 20. Basically, you want to be consistent as far out as your putting style will allow you to. And if I think there's almost everybody can use their regular putting style and be consistent out to about 30, 35. Some people can go farther. You know, Eric is a spin putter and he standstill putts out to forever. I mean, 55, 60 pretty easily. Maybe a little jumper if he needs to occasionally, but for the most part, the 55, 60 range. But I wouldn't change up your style of putt. I would work on strengthening that putt so that you can reach just a little bit farther with it. And so drills to do that would just be putting from the distance that you're comfortable and then trying to work on just following through even just a little bit more.
Yeah.
So make your several putts right there and then take just one step back and see what that feels like to just follow through that much more.
Mm-hmm.
I would do that for sure.
I would absolutely do all that. But, just because he says I wouldn't change your putt from a different distance, that doesn't mean you shouldn't go out and see what your strengths are.
True.
So I think you should go out and try some spin putts, and if it feels comfortable, it's coming out clean, and you're hitting your lines. Man, do it.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
I just mean don't use one up to 20 and then outside 20.
You want to keep it consistent.
Pretty much in the circle, you want to be doing the same thing if you can.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Excellent. Let's take a real quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about United States Disc Golf Junior Championships. Okay, so big things are happening in the juniors division for disc golf. One of the big things that's happening is here in Emporia, Kansas, for the next 3 years, and of course, we're working to have it here beyond that,
to infinity
and beyond. Is the juniors disc golf world championships? We're going to host it here in Emporia. I know that Eric and Doug have been working out specifics on the courses, how to get them set up for the kids. Doug is working hard at getting extracurricular events going to happen. Can I talk? I don't know if we've solidified. No, we can't. But it's going to be really cool kids things. I know he's working on a lot of things so that when the kids come out, they'll have some fun playing disc golf, but they're also going to have some fun doing some things here in Emporia. So it's going to be really cool.
And if you've been to GBO, think that sort of environment, but tailored toward juniors. And if you've been to one of our events, you know that we'll pull out all the stops all the time.
Above and beyond.
And that's what we plan on doing for junior.
A lot of the bars will have Kool-Aid
on tap.
Season, on tap. Yeah, no.
That's right.
No, just kidding. But there will be a lot of things for kids to do. Chocolate milk.
Oh, dude, chocolate milk though.
Chocolate wasted.
Cookies you can dip in there.
Never mind. Go ahead. I'm just kids.
So anyway, but another thing that we are connected with, we are actually a premier partner with the United States Junior Disc Golf Championships. I'd been saying it wrong. United States Disc Golf Junior. No, it's actually United States Junior Disc Golf Championship.
That would make a lot more sense.
Yes, it would. And that's being held. It is the first ever United States Junior Disc Golf Championship hosted by Kids Disc Golf. The event takes place August 3rd through 5th. It's all 18 and younger, so it's all the junior divisions. And it's going to be held at Smuggler's Notch.
Beautiful.
Which is a world-class family resort and some top-rated courses.
Right. And that's where Worlds is at this year.
Yes. And registration is now open. You can go to usjdgc.com. I'll put a link in the description of this podcast. So make sure you get registered for that event. Get yourself registered for Junior Worlds, and it should be really exciting stuff. Right now, we have a Dymax, a full-color Dymax, where you can purchase some discs to help raise some funds for that particular event.
Nice.
It's all about the kids.
It's all about the kids. Looks like we have...
It's going to be so much fun.
And then there's a limited run of artwork on Judges, Convicts, and EMAC Truths. And you can find that at kidsdiscgolf.com for sure. So, yeah, check that out for sure. All right, let's get back to the questions. Let's see what James has to say.
Hey, Disc Golf Answer Man. This is James from Colorado Springs, Colorado, coming back at you. And I just had a question about some discs. So if each of you could only throw 5 different molds, 5 different types of discs, what 5 would those be? Obviously, Air is going to throw the EMAC Truth, given, but I'd really like to know if you were limited to, you could only do 5 molds. You could have multiple of those molds though, and you could have them in all kind of different wear and tear and stability and plastics. What 5 molds would those be? Thanks so much for answering my question, and keep it real, guys.
That's pretty easy because I pretty much only carry almost 5 molds at the moment.
Let's hear it.
All right. Well, 5 EMAC truths. No.
Next question.
Obviously EMACs, because those are my bread and butter. And right now, and I'm basically basing this off of the Memorial. What's familiar to me as we speak. The Explorer.
Yep.
Amazing disc. Such a good fairway driver. I threw it an awful lot out in the desert. Enforcer.
Yep.
The Lucid and the Bios are just, oh man, simply amazing. It's just so predictable. Absolutely love that disc. Mercy for putting, because I'm back on Mercies this year, and it's been working out pretty well for me.
Mm-hmm.
So that I guess that would be my putt and thrower.
Mm-hmm.
And then the 5th disc the 5th mold is a disc that is new. I'm super excited about it. It is, oh man, I don't know. It's probably one of the longest flying, fastest, easiest discs that I've thrown in a very long time, and that's the Ballista Pro.
Yep.
The Opto Ballista Pros. They've got a huge dome to them, which I love. I love the dome. And I can just absolutely mash on that thing, and I know what it's going to do. I can't say enough good things about the Ballista Pro.
Yep. You picked 3 of my 5 for sure. I would go with Enforcers. I've really been liking the Lucid Enforcer lately, just for brand new, overstable out of the box, trusted in the wind, trusted on forehands, things like that. And then Bio Enforcers, I like to carry in different stages of wear. I think I prefer them to the Defender because they fit my arm speed just a little bit better. People who throw a little faster than me will really like the Defender a lot. I just find that I can get more controllable finishes out of the Enforcer for myself.
Yep.
So Enforcer would be my fast one. I think I would keep a Criminal in there, a Criminal or 2. I really, really like the Criminal. I like
you throw it well.
I like it. Yeah, I've like forcing it over on Anheuser and letting it come back. Like just throwing it on just pure Heiser flat shots that finish left, or forehands. I love it for forehands as well. Then when we get to fairways, the Explorer would be my disc of choice as well. I've got an Opto one in the bag right now, and then I've got one of the special edition Gold X ones, and they're both just really, really good. Super versatile, resistant to torque at high speeds, but not a crazy finish, just kind of gradual finish either way. Love that. And then EMAC Truth is my mid-range of choice. I carry 3 or 4 of those right now. I can't remember which. And then Warden. I mean, if you've listened to the show ever, you know how much I love the Warden. I love it for putting. I love it for throwing. Yep, those would be my 5.
I mean, I carry like 5 EMAC Truths, but I think I only threw 1.
Yeah, the Disc Golf Answer Man one.
Gosh, that thing is
It's super good. It does well for you.
It's magic.
Yes. Bobby?
I would go with, if I had to have only 5 mold, Trespass for my distance driver, a Renegade, just for something with
That's something new, right?
What
to the bag?
Fairly. I mean,
fairly new. I remember you threw. I think it was Denise's out in.
Yes, when we were
Memorial,
we were playing Vista, and I didn't bring my bag, and Denise let me borrow some of her backup Renegade and EMAC Truth.
Oh, you had that throw in though.
I know
that was sick.
Yeah,
what like 130, 150.
Yeah.
It was a nice distance for throwing for sure.
So I would do the Trespass and a Renegade because Renegade has a little more turn than Trespass for me. Then I would go with an EMAC Truth and a Suspect for my mid ranges, and then of course the Deputy for my putter.
Nice.
You do love.
I think that would be a good roundabout.
Yeah,
that's a good bag. That's a good solid bag.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Next one comes from Rock. Let's see what Rock has.
Nice.
G'day, guys. This is Rock here again. Just another question. If you needed to find a fairway / control driver that was a slight bit more meaty than your max weight Lucid Convict, where would you be looking in the Trilogy lineup? I'm a big fan of the Convict, but it gets really windy over here in Western Australia. It gets really windy. And I'm just looking for something a little bit meatier than the Convict. Cheers, boy.
Really windy. Do you think his doors go flying open like ours just
today,
did?
You know, it's funny, brother, because today I was listening to the news on my way to grab some lunch. 45-mile-an-hour wind, sustained, like not just a gust, like sustained. They were talking about they've already got a couple of semis
blown over
because of the wind on the highways.
Man.
So yeah,
and a lot of recycle bins have fallen over, and my yard was full of my neighbor's recyclables at lunch. So that was cool.
I put our garbage out this morning. I bet you that's tipped over.
Just as much a tragedy as the.
It is. I had to get out there and pick it up in the wind.
So anyway, so it's very windy here in Kansas. So what do you guys think about except for
I would think one of two discs. An Explorer that just came out. Yes. It's going to be a little bit more overstable than a Convict.
Yes.
And then the other one I would suggest would be a Felon, depending on how overstable and how much headwind that you actually have. So if the Explorer isn't quite cutting it, then the Felon absolutely will.
Mm-hmm. I might suggest too a Culverin from Latitude
Culverin's
64. Good. Similar speed profile to a Convict, but less high speed turn, more just kind of straight, and then I think a similar fade to the Convict. Yeah. So yeah, amongst those three, I think you'd find. I
would say the
good.
Explorer would be.
It's just so good.
It is. Everybody needs one of those in their bag.
It's a bit slower than the Convict, a bit, but you can throw it just about as far because of the glide that it has. It's great.
Every time I threw it this weekend, I mean, out of the hand, I knew it. Like on 18 at Vista. Yep. Within seconds of it releasing out of my hand, I knew it was a good shot.
Right. Well, and that shot's like 375, 380, and just clean hyzer. No big deal.
And it just, oh man. Gosh, I can't get over how good that disc is.
It's good.
Excellent. There you go. Next one comes from, I wasn't ready yet. I apologize. It is from Bentley. Hypothetically speaking, assuming flat ground, no wind, exact same throw, what is the difference in distance between each disc category? Putter, mid, fairway, and distance driver for you.
Ooh, for me.
For me, it's
no, go for it.
No,
it's time with my friends.
Yes, I'm friends. Sorry, PBJ.
Funny though.
Yeah,
funny. Okay, I'll give distances on what I throw.
I think you could probably do it for all of us.
Flat shot. Yeah,
you're probably better at that than I am.
Maybe so.
Oh, you're
I'll give it a shot. All right. So for me, Warden shots.
Wrong.
Oh, wait, what?
False.
Wait. Huh? Warden shots. I can get a Warden comfortably to almost 300, but most of the time I like to throw it about 280 is the max I like to throw it. If I really need to get on one and I'm worried about the angle, then I can throw it a little bit farther, but comfortably about 280. Mids for me, I can get out to. It really depends on the shot, but honestly, like 340 is probably a good number, 340 or 350. Same sort of thing, flat release, nice and high. Fairway drivers, an Escape or an Explorer, something like that, for me will go out to, 390 or so, maybe touch 4 if I really, really hit it right. And then distance drivers for me, honestly, are not that much farther, flat ground, because open field, I just don't get like huge distance. I just like golf line distance. I want to be good at throwing a straight shot, good at throwing a hyzer, not good
golf
at
shots.
Twerking something over. Yeah. So,
twerking.
Yeah, twerking something over is what I meant. So for me, those go out to, 440 is probably a good shot for me right now, 450 if I really get a hold of it. But yeah, so right around 50 feet of distance in between each, I'd say is a pretty good bet. You can basically take those numbers and add, I'd say our putters are about the same, 280 to 300 for Eric. Eric can throw a mid-range farther than me for sure, probably 370, 380. On an EMAC Truth. He can really get on an EMAC Truth.
I feel comfortable if it's a 400-foot hole to throw the EMAC because I can give myself a putt.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, within 30 for sure.
Yep.
And then I'd say fairways probably around 4, a little bit more, and then flat ground distance drivers, Eric can get out to about 5. I've seen him throw farther for sure, but just regular old day, same wind, same throw. Yeah, he can put him out there pretty good. For Bobby doesn't throw putters a whole lot. He more throws a suspect for approach shots. And so that distance for Bobby is about 150 to 170 is where he really likes a suspect. He could push it out to 200 if he really wants to, but he really thrives in that. And even shorter than 150, he really likes it for approach shots like that. And then for mid-ranges with like an EMAC Truth or a Verdict, probably out to about 200 or so. I'd say he throws his fairway drivers right around that 270 mark You think that's a little short?
No, that's probably about right.
Okay. And then distance drivers, I'd say a nice full pull for Bobby right now is 310 to 330.
Full pull.
Yeah.
Only full pulls though.
Yeah. But that's about right?
No, you're right.
Yeah. Now you did clear the water the last time we were playing Jones East, hole 12.
Yeah, you did.
Which is awesome.
Oh yeah.
And I'd say there is a downhill there, but I'd say that's probably a 320, 330 to clear.
330, I'd say.
And got across. So yeah, I think that's about where we're at with those.
Yeah, awesome.
So our incremental changes are right around 50 to 60 feet for Eric and I, and then for Bobby closer to 40 feet between disc types.
Next one comes from Steve. Hey, Bobby, cool. Daddy Slick.
Is that how he wrote it?
Yeah.
How many O's?
2.
Oh.
Cool. Daddy Slick.
Oh, yeah.
Eric, I can't wait to tour more this year. McCabe. Now, keep in mind, this is from back in January. That's the question. And Robert, I can't wait to talk about my warden enough. Call.
Facts are facts.
During a recent event last year, I threw an upshot over a pond landing on the other side, inbounds next to the water's edge. Are you allowed the 1 meter relief even though it puts you closer to the basket? 2 players on the car said no, but they told me I could go back on the other side of the pond. I made the putt from the original lie.
Yes. You can absolutely take your meter in, even if it's toward the basket.
Correct.
Yep.
It's just straight in.
Yep.
1 meter.
There's really no discussion. That's just
that's
the end of it.
Yeah. Next one is from Noah. I've been playing for a year now. I was wondering, as a disc beats in, is it common for the disc to lose its distance potential? I've been throwing the same driver and it goes nowhere near where it did in the beginning. Thanks and keep up the great work.
Probably just getting beat in.
Maybe turning over more so it doesn't quite get the distance that it did before.
Yeah.
I think what you might be experiencing is if you were starting with a disc that was relatively understable to start and you were working it from a hyzer to flat and then getting the full flight out of it or something like that, it may be to where that same angle that you used to throw, since the disc has beat up just a little bit, it's just getting to the ground a little bit faster. So you might want to put either more angle on it or get a newer disc if that's the sort of thing you want to do.
You also may have outgrown that particular disc too.
Sure.
Because that does happen.
Yeah, definitely. Because had you handed me a Witness when I first started, I'd have gotten, pretty good distance out of it for the first little bit. But now
you'd be getting maximum distance.
Now I'd be throwing it way farther than anything else. Now it'd be hard for me to throw that as an air shot all the time.
Correct.
But for us, I think once our discs beat in, we actually get a little bit more distance out of them because we start with more overstable discs for the most part. And so once they do work in, they kind of straighten out a little bit and have the tendency to fight to stay in the air a little bit longer.
Correct.
Next one is from Derek. Hey, Disc Golf Answer Man. I've heard you guys say that you believe hyzer flip to turnover rather than start the disc on anhyzer will achieve maximum distance. I live in higher altitude and have heard discs tend to be more stable here than in places like Emporia, for example. So what causes this? What disc would you recommend from your lineup to achieve these hyzer flips to turn over in higher altitudes for bigger arms and for slower arms? Thanks for all you do to grow the sport.
For big arms, I would think maybe a trespass would be a good choice there for a nice hyzer flip. Granted, depending on what altitude you're at, I know I've played at Snow Bowl, I think it was called in Flagstaff. It was pretty high elevation. And I was throwing like my roller discs as my straight flyers.
Right.
I didn't even consider turning to the right. So it really depends on your elevation and your arm speed. But I think a trespass would be a good choice there, and maybe even a renegade for a slightly slower arm speed.
Those are the two I'd say.
Well, what do you think? What causes it? Just the difference in air, like the pressure or air pressure?
Yeah. Let's call that one guy.
Dean from Amsterdam?
No, the science guy.
Bill Nye,
the science guy.
Nye, the science guy.
I don't know. I don't know what causes it, but thinner air.
Yeah, I think so. But also, you might try and escape as well.
Escape's a good choice.
In general, disking down a little bit in elevation isn't a bad idea, just because they're a little bit easier to control.
At elevation, an escape would be an amazing straight flying disc.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Alex wants to know what your go-to outfit is when playing a tournament. Look good, play good, right, Robert?
That is exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, anything OGO.
Yeah.
I just absolutely love the OGO shirts, the golf shirts that they have. I do. I like this whole week. I wore either pants, like golf pants with a nice tucked in polo, or if it was really, really warm that day, then a nice pair of golf shorts.
Jorts.
No.
Oh, shorts. It's not my bad.
Just shorts. With a nice, I tuck in my shirt. I just think it looks good. I like it.
Agreed.
Look good, feel good, play good.
That's right. Somebody said that once.
Look good, feel good, not always play good. Sometimes
look good,
too.
feel good, play okay.
Sometimes.
All right. Yeah. I guess I don't have a go-to outfit. I have lots of outfits I like to try out.
Yes, you do.
I was going to say this will not surprise either one of you that we just traveled together. I really like playing in joggers these days. Pants that still look pretty nice, but I don't feel like they're too swishy or limiting my movement at all. I like those a lot. And then just, polos like this one that I've got on if you're watching the video. But I've got plenty of DD embroidered and team stamp polos and stuff. I like stuff like that.
Excellent. All right, let's take another quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Next Generation Tour from Latitude 64.
Oh, 4.
This is going to be the second year for the Next Generation Tour. This is something that Latitude 64 put together, and it is a amateur tour. It's a tour for amateur disc golfers. That's kind of the big thing, because you have a lot of these pros that have the National Tour, the Disc Golf Pro Tour. At one time, they had the Disc Golf World Tour. There wasn't
National Tour one day. Back in the day. Did you say that one?
Yeah.
Oh.
But the amateur really didn't have a tour. They more had just, go play events and stuff like that. So Latitude 64, with the help of David Fehlberg and Cynthia Whitaker, and then, of course, Pat
Govang.
They put together the Next Generation Tour, and the registration has opened. I don't know much. I'll be totally honest with you. I don't know a whole lot about how registration works. I don't have the information other than you just go out there and you plug in your
regional
information.
Qualifiers.
There's I'm looking at different. There's West Coast, Mountain West, Mountain East, and different places where you go to play. But definitely want to go out to nextgendiscgolf.com and you can get a lot more information about the event.
Yeah,
Last year the winner won a car.
So think about that.
And they're giving away another car this year, but they have not said what it was. In fact, at Arizona,
the same car.
He
has to give it back. I hope you enjoyed it.
They had a table set up in Arizona at the end of the event, and they had a little contest where if you guessed, you have to guess what car is in the picture, and it has like a car cover over it. You have a chance to win a Zuka cart.
You have to guess how many pennies are inside the car.
Yeah. God, can you imagine putting all those pennies?
Was it an RV?
No, it was not that big. Smashbox TV actually aired the event last year. So,
and last year it was in Arizona at Fountain Hills.
Yes. No, it wasn't Smash. It was the Disc Golf Guy, right?
It was a disc golf.
Disc Golf Guy production. So
I mean, come on, it's really the same thing, am I right?
I don't know.
Johnny V, you're dead Johnny.
To me. So just for some quick information to get out there's different divisions. There's the Gladiators or the blue division where you have to be 935 plus rated. The Knights or white division has to be 935 to 900. The Saints or the red division, you have to be less than 900 rated. So these are definitely for the amateur division.
Nice.
That sounds new to this year. Is that?
I think they just did one division last year.
They just did one.
Yeah, having divisions I think is really good for that. Cool. And so it's the same sort of thing that we're doing with the U.S. Amateur Match Play Championship. You'll do a local qualifier, then a regional qualifier, and then move on to the national championship, all that stuff.
And I do know that the regional qualifier for our region is here in Emporia this year.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
You get Players Pack where you get an exclusive Ceric Gold Burst Glow White.
I'm all about that life.
Oh, yeah, you'll have one of those for sure.
An exclusive first run Ballista Pro Gold Burst.
Also all about that life.
Yeah. And then a voucher to Latitude 64 Customs.
Nice. Also all about that life.
You have lots of those.
Can I sign up?
No.
Oh.
You're just barely over the ratings threshold.
Darn it.
Just one too many pro tournaments.
Darn it. One too many.
Yeah, that's right.
Entry fee is $48. Looks like a standard next generation qualifier entry fee is $48. So definitely something you want to look into.
It is so worth it.
Yeah.
For sure. If there's one in your area, absolutely worth it.
And if there's not,
Run
contact them about running one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. NextGenDiscGolf.com.
Sweet.
All right, back to the question. This one's from Chad.
What's up, Disc Golf Answer Men? My name is Chad Davis, coming to you from Chester, Virginia, right outside of Richmond, Virginia this morning. I have 2 questions for you all. The very first one, I've been working hard for the past 2 years, and I'm very excited to say I have reached 400 feet on the disc golf course. It's a big day.
Nice.
I'm excited. It's a long way. It's been a lot of work, but I have found that is a comfortable distance for me. I can get over that. However, that's kind of comfortable, and it's landed me in the world of the big rim distance driver. Having a little bit of issues learning them, though. I have tried different things. I've worked with them in the field. I've thrown them. And while nose angle isn't the hardest thing, I'm not having a hard time with them skying out or anything like that, like I know some people do. But I'm having a difficult time learning how they cut through the air and how they will land on the ground and all that kind of stuff. Just kind of how they fly. It's a new flight. It's very different from a fairway driver. And just wondering if there's any drills or tips that you all have that can help me out. It would be so appreciated. The second thing, question that I have for you all is,
well done, Chad. I mean,
Yeah, good for you, bud.
anytime that you get to change that first number is always awesome.
Pretty nice.
It's always good. Honestly, there's not really a whole lot of drills or anything like that. It's just a matter of getting to a field and throwing them and then figuring out what they do for you. Because high-speed drivers are going to fly different for every single person depending on their arm speed. One thing I have noticed in my game, it depends on the disc and the high speed. If it's a Ballista versus a Ballista Pro, the Ballistas, I do still bag a couple Ballistas, the Snowline ones, and I have to put a little bit more hyzer on those so they don't just kind of turn and cut right into the ground. So the bigger the rim, the more angle sensitive it's going to be, for me at least. And a disc like the Ballista Pro, I can throw out there relatively flat and 80 to 90% power, and I'm confident that if it turns right, it's going to fade back no matter what. So it's really just about getting out there and figuring out, step one, which one feels the best in your hand. Feels the best in your hand, and then which one flies the best as well. So both of those are kind of a step 1 and 2.
Yeah. And once you get into wider rim drivers, they're going to be spinning faster than the discs that you're used to. And anytime a disc spins faster, that means it has greater distance potential. But that also, I mean, it's high risk, high reward at that point. You know, you might be able to get some more distance out of it, but it's a little bit more touchy on the angles on which you can throw it. And so, yeah, there's not really a drill or anything like that. The only thing you can do is just get out in the field and throw those on all sorts of angles, learn those angles, and then integrate those into your game on the course.
Film it.
Next one is from Jake.
He's got a second part of his question.
He's got a second part to his question from Chad.
It's really for Robert Hare of a Renaissance Sculptor McCall, and it is about the local church. I am a pastor to middle school and high school students, been working hard to grow disc golf. But I was wondering, during your time in the local church, did you do anything that was successful, or do you have any ideas that might make it a successful growth in the local church? Thank you guys so much. Love the show. Keep on doing it.
Programming-wise, I didn't really do much as far as growing disc golf, specifically like with a program or anything. But I just took kids out to play all the time. So we'd grab one of the things we did Sundays during the summer is we would in the afternoon go and do a fun thing like once a month. And one of those was always just go to Zilker Park in Austin, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And just play disc golf and teach them how to play. Then one of the camps that we went to during the summer also had disc golf set up there. So I could see a lot more were interested by the time we got out there because we had spent some time out at Zilker, and then when we'd be messing around up at the church building in the gym and just shooting basketball or anything like that, I had a basket up there as well, so I'd get it out for him to putt. So I'd say the biggest thing is just to get people more accustomed to seeing it, because the first time you see disc golf, or honestly really any sport, it doesn't really look like that fun. It's just whatever. But once you're more accustomed to it, once you become more comfortable with it, it's a lot easier to get more people involved. So that's what I would do. Just get more people involved in it. Take them out to the course. If you wanted to run like a fundraiser tournament, I think that would be really cool. But just getting more people interested, I think, is the first point.
Let them have fun.
Yes. Yeah, don't overcoach them for sure. When we went out there, I would just say, hey, this is how you throw a backhand, throw, and not try and piece apart every little thing that they do. Nice.
Excellent.
Smithers.
All right, next one comes from Alex. It seems like a lot of the distance drivers are starting to come out in air molds. Will we continue to see that in 2018? What's the upside and downside to throwing an air disc? Will we see an air stiletto in the future?
I doubt it.
Probably not.
I don't think you're going to start seeing
everything in
air. It's not like just automatic. I'm assuming just from listening and hearing conversations with Latitude 64, it's not a simple thing as, we can just make that into an air, or we can make that into this particular plastic every time. It doesn't work that way every time. So, I don't know if it was
air Ceric. I'm interested.
Make it happen.
So, I don't know which molds are coming out in air. I don't know. Yeah, I don't think you're going to see a lot more different molds in air.
Right. People always ask about the air defender. Tomas, who designs the disc, has said it's impossible. So maybe it'll be possible in the future, but for the time being, it's just, something with the mold doesn't allow that to work very well.
And the air enforcers are
nice,
almost more overstable than normal enforcers.
For sure.
They might be. I know Doug loves them.
Yeah, he's been bombing those.
He loves them.
So he was asking about the benefits and detriments. Big benefit is you have greater distance potential because the disc is lighter, and so it can stay in the air a little bit longer. One of the detriments or possible downsides of throwing an air disc, yes, and then it might stay in the air a little bit longer. No, it can throw your timing. If you're used to throwing discs in the 170 to 175 range, and now all of a sudden you're throwing a 130 or 140 something, that's a pretty big difference. And so it may throw your timing, it may throw your accuracy a little bit.
And wind.
Also, they can get batted around by the wind a little bit more.
But I think they are good for players with some slower arm speed, or if you live in Japan and you have to throw them.
And that's what you're required to throw.
Yeah. So,
all right, now let's go to the question from Jake.
Good morning, Disc Golf Answer Man crew. Jake Newhouse here from Madison, Wisconsin.
Hey, I know Jake.
Brother of
Zechariah.
Dynamic Discs player Zach Newhouse. I had a question this morning regarding the new rules of amateur.
Just real quick, I totally appreciate the question, Jake, but you can't ask your brother?
His brother's a Canadian now.
Yeah, he doesn't know anything, dude. I don't think he even speaks English anymore.
Probably not.
I love Canada.
I'm just kidding, Jake.
We also love Zach. He's great.
Yes.
Meh. No,
play versus pro play and the payouts. If I understand the new rule correctly, if you are playing as an amateur in the pro division and qualify to cash, and you take funny money or cash, whatever it might be, whatever the prize is, that you are required then to become professional, or you can play the open division as an amateur and not accept any prize money to keep your amateur status. I wanted to get your thoughts on this because my initial reaction is that it's going to really oversaturate the amateur divisions, especially advanced, with there being not a lot of incentive to go play in a tournament in the open or pro division. So just wanted to kind of get your guys' thoughts, and maybe you have a better understanding for why this is, and maybe I'm not understanding the new rule correctly at all. So thanks for answering my questions, and we'll see you guys at GBO in a few weeks. Thanks.
Nice. There's a lot of people that don't understand any of the new rules. I'm not picking on Jake, obviously, but that's just kind of like what's been going around. And not just that rule, but all the new rules. Everybody's confused about them and not sure what's really going on. And I thought that they took the rule out that you can accept funny money. Now, it's either you take the cash or you don't.
I think that's right.
I thought I read that.
Are you looking it up, Robert?
Robert is looking it up.
I'm trying to find it, but I'm having a difficult time right now. Let's see. Oh, reclassification of professional amateur. Let's see what this has to say. Okay, here you go. This is Competition Manual of Disc Golf Events, Section 2.03. Let it be.
Oh, God, I'm so sorry. Hold on.
What was that, man?
Nothing.
Okay, cool.
Do it again.
I can't. I closed it.
All right. So this says an amateur player is automatically reclassified as a professional when the player has accepted cash while competing in a professional division. Accepting cash for winning an ancillary contest such as an ace pool, top of the card round prize, or CTP contest does not cause a player to relinquish his or her amateur status. So if you accept cash, plain and simple, you're moving up to open. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. There used to be an amount threshold and then a rating threshold as well, above which, like, so say you accepted like $60 in cash and your rating was still low enough, you might still be able to play amateur. But as far as moving up, I think them taking funny money or merchandise credit or whatever, I think that's to the TD's discretion at this point. I think they don't have to offer it if they don't want to anymore. Yeah, that's what I know about it.
That's what I think as well.
Sorry that's not the official ruling, but yeah, that's how I understand it.
Excellent.
What about his question of do you think it's just going to make people play AM as opposed to some of those players that are kind of ready to step up, or which I don't know if it is, but I know that a lot of the pro events fill now. Mm-hmm. So I don't know that that's a bad thing. And a lot of like our events, like the two 1-dayers that we run, like Monkey Island Open coming up, some of the better advanced players have the advantage to play both because advanced is on one day, pro is on the next.
Sure. I don't know if it'll affect where they play quite as much. I know there are not a ton of amateur players who play in open and cash.
True.
Repetitively.
Yeah.
Now, some of them do, and then they're like, well, I'm going to hold off because of Am Worlds because they want to maintain their amateur status.
Yes.
But for the most part, I think this is a very small number of people that we're talking about.
Agreed.
Excellent. We got one question. Time for one more question, and we'll take this one from Taylor.
Hello, Bob. I'd like to add 100 or maybe 150 feet to my drive. So let's talk flay numbers.
Oh, gosh.
Just kidding, guys.
I was like, what is this?
I'm looking for some help with distance control, though. On shorter approaches, I'm having good luck using an abbreviated reach back. So basically, I just throw full speed for all my approaches, but only starting at my right shoulder or the middle of my chest or my back shoulder if it's a bit farther of an approach. So basically, I know if I can only throw 120 feet from the middle of my chest, I won't blow 50 feet past the hole if I only reach back that far. Where I'm having trouble is on my drives. With one step and a throw, usually with my CAC Z, I get around 185 feet or so. Above that, I'm probably going up to an escape and then various distance drivers. I can get around 300 feet consistently-ish on a longer drive. But I'm having trouble in between. Once I start needing to take an extra step or two or doing an X step, I'm having a lot more trouble controlling my distance. So do you have any tips for controlling distance in that kind of mid-range? The shorter ones feel great, but I want to improve my confidence in that kind of mid to not quite a long throw yet range. Thanks a lot, guys. Keep it real.
That's an interesting thought.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I do that naturally, like limiting my reach back for the distance that I'm throwing it. But I don't know. I guess I hadn't thought about it that way of saying if I pull back to the middle of my chest, I'm throwing 120.
I don't think I do. I think I bring it back about the same amount, but it just I'm putting less arm speed on it, less spin. Even is more of what I'm doing. I like to keep everything as much consistent as I possibly can as far as how far I bring the disc back, the angle I'm bringing it through. I like to keep everything as consistent as possible. It just helps for better play, in my opinion. I've never really tried to. I don't know. I just feel like if I only bring it back to my chest, there's more room for I'm going to shank it.
Right. Because you're used to your arm traveling for a certain amount of time.
Exactly.
If now you shorten that, maybe you're going to release farther to the right or later in the throw.
Exactly.
Huh. I think if you're having trouble controlling distance, and that when you need to step up to 1 or 2 steps or an X step or something like that, it's messing with your accuracy. Yes. Honestly, the only thing you can do is just practice.
Field.
Right? Yeah, I mean, get out in the field, film yourself throwing with your 1 step, right? If that's what you feel comfortable with, film yourself throwing that, and then film yourself throwing an X step, and see how similar those look. Because ideally, your 1 step should look like the end of your X step.
Correct.
That's what in general, that's what it should look like. And so filming yourself will help quite a bit in that. And then if you're needing to reach back farther to get a little bit more distance, then the best thing that you can do is do that incrementally. And if you're already used to adjusting the amount that you reach back, then just reach back, an inch or 2 farther this time and try throwing that way. Yep. An inch or 2 farther the next time and try throwing that way until you reach the point where you feel really inconsistent. Once you're at that point, that's when you can practice that distance more than anything else.
Yeah. Definitely get in the field, though.
Very important.
Excellent. Well, before we let you guys go, I want to talk about a Team Series discs. These are some discs that were made to help raise funds for the touring of some of our players out there. Right now, the Latitude 64 has their Team Series out. Right there is for Devin Owens. He has the Latitude 64 Opto X Sparkle River. Now, Opto X is a newer plastic that Latitude 64 has come up with. What do you guys know about the X? What is it that makes it a little bit different?
Stiffer, more stable.
That's correct.
So whatever disc you have, like if you have the River, it's just going to be a little more stable.
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually threw one of Devin's Opto X Rivers while we were in Arizona.
I threw the River and the Saint Pro as well.
Same. And it's interesting, if you've thrown the River before, for me, it's a hyzer flip up to flat and then ride to the right for the most part. And so this one I put on the same sort of hyzer I would put on an Opto River, and it stood up to flat, but less than I thought. And then when it finished, it didn't finish hard left. It just kind of stayed straight and just barely faded left. It was a really, really interesting and cool flight. And if you're a person who loves the River, and you love that mold, having a more overstable version of it will be excellent.
Yeah. And the Saint Pro, for me, for all you Saint Pro lovers out there that know which disc I'm talking about, the very, very first runs that came out, the Deco Die ones that had the cool design on it, matte white, super domey. That's what it reminded me of. That's the stability that it reminded me of.
Yeah, they're really, really super nice. Yeah. And you can look forward to some Team DD versions of those soon. You can go ahead.
Well, first, let me go through the run-up real quick. So Devin Owens has the Opto X Sparkle River. Johnny McRae has the Opto X Saint Pro, which you guys talked about.
Right.
Dave Felberg has the Opto X Moonshine Triple X.
Beef.
Which is a beefy disc, right?
It's already beefy, so I can only imagine how beefy that
I threw that one
is.
too.
Did you?
It's just ridiculous. Just
well, if that's what you need, you got it.
Absolutely.
Yep. And then the for Bobby Music, we have the Latitude 64 Zero Medium Moonshine Burst Scenus.
Say that like
I can't.
Fast.
Latitude 64 Zero Medium Moonshine Burst Scenus Bobby Music Team Series.
Hey, that was super good. I'm impressed.
I got to admit, I mean, all the stamps are cool, but I really like Bobby Music with that DJ looking like. I think that was pretty cool.
I like Bobby. He's a good dude.
He's a really good disc
I got to hang out.
too.
I of course seen him and said hi. I never really got to sat and talk to him until we went to the Latitude 64 team dinner while we were in Arizona. And he's a cool guy.
Yeah.
I didn't think he wasn't, but
I've known Bobby for years. This is the kid.
He's old school.
This is a kid that grew up across the street from La Mirada. So that's where he started playing disc golf. So you can only imagine some of the stories he has from going out there and playing. So pretty cool.
So I would appreciate.
And then Ricky's
Dagger.
Ricky's over there?
It just came out today.
So it's not out. That's right.
Yeah, Ricky's is the Moonshine Burst Hard Dagger.
Yeah, and that just arrived today. And I believe it'll go out 5 p.m. Central today. So by the time you hear this episode,
yesterday
it'll be available. So all three of us would really appreciate it, guys, if you're going to do some disc shopping to pick these up, because these particular ones will help the guys that are out on tour. Now, as far as Dynamic Disc, like Robert was saying, Dynamic Disc will have its own Team Series discs. Do you know?
I know the molds. I think it's probably best if we wait on them for just a bit.
Okay.
Until they're closer to getting here, because I'll tell you though, I know all of our molds, and there are some real winners. In fact, I don't think anyone has made a bad choice.
No.
There's some really good choices that our players.
I've already actually announced mine on
okay,
Instagram.
That's right. Yeah,
and
so
all
Eric
that.
is getting the Lucid X Trespass.
Yes.
The Trespasses have been coming out a little more stable as of late. And so for people, who have at a higher arm speed like Eric or like some of, the touring pros out there, they're really going to find some use in that Lucid X Trespass for shots that are even a little bit more overstable than the Trespass, where right now it rides to the right for a long time. Maybe it stands up to flat and just barely rides to the right, or maybe holds straight.
I feel like it's going to fly like similar to a Bio Defender, Bio Enforcer.
Yeah, that's kind of worked in a little bit.
But stay like that, not beat in super quick. And yeah, so I'm hoping that they come out with a little bit of dome, and I'm just so excited.
Right. We've got a couple of other Lucid X discs. So the Felon will be coming out for Eric Oakley. Everyone who follows Eric knows that he loves the Felon. He threw it all over the place this weekend.
Very well as well. I mean, he throws that thing well.
Yeah, super
that
well.
Forehand is stupid.
Yep. And then our other Lucid X disc, Paige Pierce will be getting the Lucid X Convict. That's a obvious one, but
it's going to be a good one as well.
I think that's going to be really good because for some people who love the Convict but don't want quite as much right turn, I think that's going to do that. And then Zach Milton is going to be taking the Lucid X Enforcer. And we have got a couple of samples of those.
Yes.
They're not stamped with his stamp or anything, just to test out the plastic. And they're beef.
They're so beef.
Super good, especially days like today where it's ridiculously windy outside. You can count on it to hold the line and still get back to the left. Nice and overstable. And then we've got some more coming as well. I don't want to spoil any of those, but they're going to be super good.
As far as when are those coming, because I know that question's already been asked. Soon is all we could really say. We don't even have these yet. We don't have them in house yet.
Yeah, if we had them, you'd be buying them. I promise.
Yeah. So as soon as they come in, they will be going right back out.
Yep.
So if you want a quick way to find this, you can go to dynamicdisc.com and go to the store tab and then look for Team Series, and then you'll be able to see all the discs that are available for the team, and of course that will help raise funds for those particular team members. Cool. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We really, really appreciate it. Just kind of a heads up, I've turned off the Google form for accepting questions so that we can try to get caught up a little bit.
We'll leave SpeakPipe on, though.
Yeah, SpeakPipe will still be on. We still have quite a few of SpeakPipe. That's it. Make sure you are subscribed on your favorite podcast app or wherever you listen to podcasts, so that Spotify, make sure you follow us on Spotify. Make sure you follow the Disc Golf Answer Man, the Jam Jams. I actually added 2 more songs the other day. I was listening and I had it on like new music or music discovery, and I was like, that sounds like a Jam Jam.
Nice.
So I added a couple songs on there, so you might check that out. You can find that on Spotify. Just search for Disc Golf Answer Man. You'll find the podcast and the playlist.
Or come down to the warehouse on Tuesdays in front of our live studio audience.
Yeah, and we'll jam out for you here. That's right. But make sure you're subscribed, because we're getting ready to record our surveys and polls. We have 2 surveys, and of course, we're going to talk about our Skip Ace information, our results, and stuff like that, Guy.
And if you have a minute, go to iTunes and leave us a review, please. We'd love
I wonder if we have any
we would love
reviews.
a 5-star review. But whenever you do go and leave us those reviews, that helps our show quite a bit in the way that it shows up in searches and things like that. And so, yeah, please do that if you haven't done it already. We'd really appreciate it. 5 stars.
All right, so what happens when...
We'd really like it if you left us a
look at that.
5-star.
Disc Golf Pro Tour has a podcast now. Disc Golf Pro Tour Talk.
Tour Talk with Steve Dodge.
Tour Talk with Steve Dodge. Finally. I don't know why these people take forever. Oh, and there's another one. Oh, I know. Oh. Who's that?
What?
Oh, just Utility Disc Golf. They have a podcast.
Cool.
I think that's great.
There's a bunch of them out there now. I know
PDGA Radio is back now.
PDGA Radio is back. I listened to the episode 1. I haven't listened to the second one yet, but I thought Sarah Lamerson and
Steve Hill
did a really good job on that.
And then Steve Hill coming from the Upshot from UltiWorld.
Yep.
And so for the time being, Jamie Thomas is replacing him there. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, cool. if you've kept up with Jamie and Spin TV and things like that, you can find him there for now. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And Telesbo has one too, right?
That's right. Yeah, a pretty recent one, I think. Yeah.
So we did a interview of A-Ray a Team Dynamic Disc member, and someone left a review based off the A-Ray interview, and he said, "Thanks for showing some love for the old guys. Great questions to aspire us over 40s. Keep it real."
Yeah, A-Ray.
A-Ray's a great dude.
So A-Ray plays in the Grandmaster division. So he is, but he's still out there, and he still has a passion for playing the game. He still has that competitiveness for playing the game, and he loves talking disc golf or baseball.
Yeah, or baseball.
Yeah, if you haven't listened to that, go back a few episodes and listen to the interview from A-Ray.
Super cool story.
I've got some more interviews coming up from our team players, so stay tuned for that. Cool, guys?
Cool.
See you next week.
Bye.